Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Coldwell Banker's VP of Luxury, Craig Hogan. Craig, we are live.
We are live. All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm Craig Hogan, Vice President of Luxury for Coldwell Banker, and I'm pleased to be here today to moderate the State of the Luxury Real Estate Market panel. We got some great people here for you today to give you some scoop on what's going on around the country and around the world. First, to get started, I wanted to give you a sort of a 30,000-foot overview of what we're seeing in the luxury market as the largest real estate operator in the country. 2020, I think everyone has discussed it by now. 2020 got off to an incredible start, one of the best quarters that we've ever seen. And then the pause button got pressed across the world. And last week we heard from our top agents in LA and Chicago. You're going to hear more from them today, but LA got off to a rocket start right out of the gate, and I believe had a very, very strong showing in the 10 million plus category. And we heard from Dawn earlier that Chicago actually got off to an incredible start and had even some 2 record-breaking sales and a lot of activity in the 5 million plus, which is just phenomenal for Chicago. Miami is in a little bit of a pause. The tax flight is still a big driver, so a little bit of a pause there, but a bright spot we heard in the Wall Street Journal this week, the Jill Zeder Group actually listed and sold a $6.5 million listing in the middle of the pandemic, so that is some great news. Week after week, we are continuing to see an uptick in our opens. That would be all of our new listing inventory. So that is a very good thing. For the entire month of April, that increased. We did not see that slow. And stay-at-home orders in different states and different counties are making it a little bit difficult to gauge exactly what's going on because they're different all over. For instance, today here in Chicago, it was announced that they're extending our stay-at-home until the end of May. So we weren't happy to hear that, but we're all in this together and we do what we have to do. We do believe that this is fundamentally different from a housing crisis. We turned off the economy. The housing scenario that we were living in is still strong and robust. We know demand is there. Action on our websites has just gone through the roof. They're going online more. They're staying online. They're looking at our listings and they're tagging our listings to go back to. So we know that the demand is there and we will be there to answer that call when it comes in. Each week, we speak to our franchisees all over the world in the 44 countries that we operate in. And obviously, as you've heard, a large pause in that sector. However, a bright spot, some great news in Italy, one of the most hard-hit countries on the planet. Somehow or another, our Italian operations were able to bring in 3 new franchisees. That's 3 new Coldwell Banker owners. And they launched a Coldwell Banker Global Luxury Office, which is the standalone global luxury experience for the consumer and the agent. We have about 12 in the world. So we don't know how they did that, but they managed to do it. They had a virtual ribbon cutting. So it's beautiful and the lights are on. There's no people in it yet, but that's coming soon as Italy begins to open their stay at home, I believe starts next week. Lenders are slow. We heard from Tracy Allen in Hawaii. Lenders are very slow and there's some hurdles to get over with lending, but creativity abounds and the agents are figuring out a way around that to get around all those hurdles and make that work. And we strongly believe that when this is over, and it will be, that we will have the lion's share of listings, and that's going to put us in an excellent spot. So that's sort of the 30,000-foot overview. So what I'd like to do now is introduce you, and I think you can all see them on the screen. I'd like to introduce you to our panel. We have Georgina Jacobson from Newport Beach. We have Jade Mills from Coldwell Banker in Beverly Hills. Dawn McKenna from Coldwell Banker in Chicago and Naples. She's a bi-coastal operator. And we have Ricardo Rodriguez in Boston's Back Bay and Alasdair Hedley with the Hamptons International in London. So we're really happy to have you all here today. Georgina, let's start with you. Tell us about your pre-COVID business. What was it like? I know it seems like a long time ago, right?
It does. And thank you so much to everybody for participating today. What is so amazing is I consider you all not only colleagues, obviously, but also dear friends. So thank you for taking some time out of your busy day. So what I think is important is to really look back first. So if we look at the first quarter of 2019, comparing it to the first quarter or almost the first quarter of this year, we were off to a crazy, great, amazing start. Over $1 million, we saw a 64% uptick in the number of closed transactions. So I think that tells you how robust our market was. And so we are confident that we will see a pent-up demand. People are at home, but we do think that once this kind of lifts, that we will see them come back to the marketplace. And we are also still transacting, which is kind of exciting. Our highest sale in the first quarter of 2019 was $22 million. That was in a community called Emerald Bay. It's a beachside community. And just a couple days ago on April 27th, we had the highest sale ever on the Bayfront, and that was for $38 million. So just want to give some people some, insight into our marketplace in Newport Beach pre-COVID.
Wow, 38 million. We could use a lot more of those. That sounds wonderful. Congratulations. Jade, are you with us?
I'm here.
All right. So Jade, I know I've heard this from you, and I'm eager to share with the audience. You got off to a rocking start. What was your pre-COVID business like?
Well, we were off to a boom. I mean, it was amazing, and we thought the whole year would be the same. We did close something about 10 days ago for 44 million. So we're slowly closing the one we had in escrow. And not only those, we put something in escrow yesterday for $10 million. And it certainly isn't the same as it was, but we are continuing to sell. And we're seeing everybody very, very interested in the market and where the market's going to go. Of course, the last month, not being able to show properties and having to have people sign the coronavirus forms, wear the mask, wear the gloves, it's of course, it can't be the same, but there are still people out that are looking, and we're waiting for May 15th to see what our governor and people that make these decisions are going to do. But we can show vacant houses in Beverly Hills. We can show in Los Angeles County. We can show occupied houses with the right masks, gloves, and booties. So I am very positive. I see the market still moving. Of course, it's slightly inhibited, but I think that we're going to have a great year.
Now, Jade, I read this morning they lifted the showing restrictions on. Was it just Beverly Hills or LA?
LA, Beverly Hills, we will be finding out, but Beverly Hills, we still cannot show occupied homes.
Got it. Okay. All right. Congratulations on that monster sale. That's phenomenal. You're a rock star. Dawn McKenna.
Hi,
guys. Hi, Dawn McKenna. Can we see you, or do we have you on the screen?
Yeah, I see you guys. Are we good?
All right. Maybe you'll pop up in a minute. There's Dawn. Dawn, look what I have in my hands.
Yes.
That's the brand new cover of Homes and Estates. It just arrived today, and that's Dawn's listing in Naples. And I'm
very excited about that because that actually closed Friday, and it was the top 3 sales in all of Naples.
And it happened because of this, right?
Yes, that's the Coldwell banker machine behind me. So hi guys, nice to see your sweet faces. I have a different perspective because I have like a major metropolitan city, very high tax state. But I also have Naples, Florida, which is no income tax, 1% real estate tax. So in Chicago, many people vacation in Naples and actually domicile in Naples as they get older. That's actually getting the age used to be in the 60s and now it's in the upper 40s, which is kind of interesting. But pre-COVID, we were just like my friends here. We were killing it. I mean, seriously, like last year was a record. This year we were the top 3 sales in Naples, and we were responsible for the top 3 sales in Chicago, which I thought was really good. It was interesting because that big McMansion, the older homes were having a harder time selling. Everybody wanted new. And just this quarter, in the North Shore especially, and in Hinsdale, some of these big homes were going for record sales, and what took only in the first quarter, like for instance in Lake Forest, to sell $3 to $4 million houses, we sold more in the first quarter than we did all of last year. So I think we were doing really, really well. And in Naples, you have to understand, you guys, Chicago is a need. Naples is a want. And so they're very different in terms of motivation factors, but obviously I hedged, between Naples and Chicago, and that fared very well for my team. We were really killing it. There's no doubt about it. It slowed down, obviously, because we're all in different states, and we were essential in some states and not in others. And like in Florida, it took almost 4 weeks for them to become essential. So we're definitely restricted by the governor's rules, and we're trying to do the things the best way and to make sure everybody's safe. But it's interesting, this is the first time, me personally, I've ever sold houses just on FaceTime. And I think now more than ever, I think what really sets a good broker from a great broker, and my colleagues here probably will agree, we never just sold homes. We always have been selling a lifestyle. That's very, very different. And now more than ever, I think, there's no place like home, but if you can't go anywhere else, what's your lifestyle like? So I have been crazy on foot doing what I do, usually in the car, like you guys, pointing to this, and we sold that, and that was a record sale. So maybe get this house next door that you can put some money in. We're doing this by foot now, which is actually kind of exciting. So I've become a walker, which I used to make fun of, but I think we're really gaining momentum, and I think we'll talk about it later, but we're all adopting really cool experiences and tools that we're implementing now because of COVID, and we're going to keep and continue on doing like things like this. And there's nothing more engaging than seeing each other, I think.
Yeah. I love it. That's wonderful. Wonderful. Ricardo Rodriguez, Boston Back Bay.
Hogan, nice to see you. George, thank you for the invitation. Great to see everybody. So Boston is not much different than this conversation. That I think we were looking at a banner year. Even if you look at the data right now, the data is still carrying this year as a banner year. I just pulled the data for May 1st. Even in comparison to last year at the same time, we are like $170 million in terms of volume, higher this year than we were last year. Even with the stoppage of under agreements in the past, month and a half, we still are outperforming the previous year. In terms of number of units, we sold 30 more units this year than we did last year, even with the past, month and a half of not being out on the streets. Our average sale price has increased by around 20%. Which is pretty crazy. Days of market have been reduced by 15 days from 75 last year at this point to 60. Certainly in terms of under agreements, we've seen a little bit of a decline. We've gone from 588 at this point last year to around 413 this year, but it is a decline, but it's not the dramatic decline that we keep hearing sometimes on the press. In terms of units on market, we have less inventory this year at this point that we did last year, which is a good thing, by around 110 units. And so we've seen, again, a very good activity in this past 4 months. I think that we have because we are carrying all of those under agreements that happened on those first 2.5 months. All of this data I think is going to carry us, at least in this market, carry us quite nicely all the way through the end of May, maybe beginning of June. And so we'll see how the data looks like for that second half, but I think that this first half will still be a very, very good. We'll still have very good numbers, and will be a very good market reference from when we come out of the stay-at-home situation. But it's
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Alasdair from London.
Good
Are
evening.
you with us? So we
I
see
am
your
with you.
image, right? Because you don't have a live feed, but we can hear you.
That's great. And well, thanks for having me join you. So our drivers in the UK can be a little bit different to those in the US, but we've had 3 really tough years of Brexit uncertainty. Having said that, post our election in December 2020, like your market, just got off to a flying start. And we recorded the busiest January we've had on record, with 22% more new buyers registering with us and 20% more sales being agreed than in January 2019. So like you guys, buyers and sellers came out of the blocks just flying. We called it the Boris bounce, and that was certainly in full effect right across our network. So by the middle of March 2020, we'd agreed 10% more sales than we had done in the Q1 of 2019. And our pipeline of properties under offer was 17% higher than in the same period last year. So we were looking forward to a really busy year.
I bet you were. The Boris bounce, huh? That's a good one.
The Boris bounce. Well, thankfully he's recovered and he's still bouncing.
Yes. Dawn, you kind of touched on this, so let me ask so this question. It's about how are you conducting business now? And this morning, several people on an earlier panel talked about real estate being totally about emotion. It's an emotional transaction. And so how are you doing business now in this environment? Jade, I saw you with gloves and a mask and a hat and booties on doing a showing the other day. So how are you guys handling your business? And have you come across anything that was totally unexpected that you think might be here to stay? Jade, let's start with you.
Well, I do think that everyone is going to be more careful. And I think that we have the coronavirus form that someone has to fill out before they go into a house. So on that form, it says that they are pre-qualified. We talk to the agent to make sure that they're really looking to buy. They're not just looky-loos. And we're very, very careful to make sure they have the money. I mean, it's very important that you're not letting someone into your house. And I mean, not that you know, we would let anybody in that was ill, but they do have to wear a mask and gloves and booties. And we're much more careful about who we let into the house. I think for the future, I think it's going to be a little bit different forever, because we never really realized that being close to someone, I mean, I haven't even been that close to my own children. And Austin, my 25-year-old son, came today to help me set up here. And it's the first time that we've really been even 6 feet. He says, I'm staying far, far away from you, Mom. But I think that what we've learned is there are ways to stay a little bit farther away from people and to be a little bit more careful. And I think that will be part of our practice forever.
Yeah, no doubt. Ricardo?
Yeah, I do agree with Jade, and actually Danny Hertzberg from Miami was talking about it this morning. I think that this discovery of this video communication is really what is going to me has been that big discovery. You know, how much and how efficient we can be with this video technology, understanding that at the end of the day, it still is a personal business. So it's both. It's how do we balance the personal touch with the technology? How do we use this technology in a more humane, personal manner? I think is the challenge, and that's where the creativity is going to come from every single place. You know, we're going to see all these cool ways of using this that feels like a human interaction. But I do think that if anything, to me, in terms of a game changing, has been this ability to realize that we can be more nimble and effective and fast than we thought it could be, that we could ever be, and I think that we learned to embrace that, at least in my opinion, which I think is a cool takeaway business wise, of course.
Yeah. Georgina, same question for you. And also on that, touch base on, I've just been watching you explode with video content lately.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's been great stuff. I mean, is that in relation to what we're going through, or was that always on your plan?
Well, it's been on my radar, but I think that more now than ever, it's just so important to have a human connection with people, since we can't go see them at their homes for in a lot of situations. Or, you know, I'm one of 5 and my family lives locally, and I can't, you know, we didn't have 2 birthdays in our family. We did them over video, but the video was also a way to connect, and I was able to see everyone, and we were able to have conversations. So I think it's a way to really connect with your clients and also your friends. And so what we're doing is we're really just kind of pivoting as things change and being open to new technology and use it how it fits our business and our personality and our client base. And obviously it's a very sensitive time, so we are, you know, some of our clients are gung-ho and they want to get out there, and some, you know, want to still be at home and not, you know, look at properties and that sort of thing. So we're just trying to be respectful, but also try to get the message out. And I think that Coldwell Banker has done such an amazing job giving us so many tools and classes. So I've been learning a lot and online, and it's been a really amazing experience.
Yeah, I think we've all talked more over the last 3 weeks than we've ever talked at all, right?
Absolutely, and I love seeing you more, so this is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Ditto. Alasdair, what's it like over in London? How are you guys operating, and how are you showing, or if you're showing, and what's the new nature of business?
Well, here in the UK, it's very difficult indeed, because the government have halted all transactions, and that equates to about 400,000 property sales, which is worth about 82 billion pounds, which I think is about 100 billion US dollars. As agents, we can, however, agree sales remotely. We cannot do viewings or valuations, but we can also, where necessary, arrange mortgages and conveyances. But getting actual valuations done and an actual move is, well, it's nigh on impossible with the current restrictions that are imposed. So whilst many of our agents have been furloughed, which is probably a word you don't know, it's a word I didn't know 2 months ago. It's the word attributed to a newly widely used British government scheme that suspends people's employment with government pay to protect their jobs long term. Our most senior people and our most experienced people have really been keeping the wheels turning and keeping sales together. And there's never, I think, been a more pertinent time to pick up the phone, to share the trends that we're seeing and offer our best advice to buyers and sellers alike. Yeah. And when I say pick up the phone, we're doing that in a different way today, of course. They can actually see us, as long as they want to, in a different way. And we're communicating in a different way. I say by telephone, but by video conferencing. And we are doing viewings remotely. We're getting our sellers to do that through carrying their mobile phones through their homes and putting the buyers and sellers together that way. We're not seeing things lift just yet, as we're still in lockdown. But, you know, since bottoming out at the end of March, we've seen a 51% growth in our web traffic. And so we're expecting to be really very busy indeed when the restrictions are relaxed and eventually lifted.
Yeah, 51% increase. It's going to explode when it's time. Dawn, anything you want to add to this? I know you told us you become a walker and a pointer.
Yes, exactly. I would say through all this, you know, my focus, I love fashion and I love marketing, and I'm really into design and what things look like, and making sure that every T is crossed and I is dotted and it's the perfect color and the perfect light. And I've learned something really significant through all this, that I think the greatest gift right now is the gift of authenticity. And even our listings, like the most attention and analytics came from an ad that I did with all of us, like basically like in our pajamas at our computers writing down, and it was like, we're in this together. Like, not everybody's in this beautiful dress or beautiful tight suit and makeup on and everything's perfect. Because right now we're all just trying to do the best we can. And it's interesting that even on Instagram, I see it from an engagement rate. They like it so much better when we've taken them through our own houses. And yes, there might be dishes in the sink, but guess what? We have 2 dishwashers or whatever. You know, I mean, we're using things that we normally don't do. And I think that connection is so much, I think more that transparency is really key right now. So we've been really kind of capitalizing on that and just being our true authentic self. I do have to say with all this, like, I feel, and I'm sure my contemporaries will concur, that right now there's no end or beginning to our business day. I mean, like, literally, like, pajamas on the bottom, trying to do the best we can sometimes. And now they're so used to seeing me that now if I'm not on, they're like, we want to see you. What are you doing? I'm like, okay, you asked for it, like, boom. And they're like, oh my gosh. But I would say that would be the one negative thing, like 8 o'clock, who cares? No one cares about 8 o'clock. You got to answer when you answer. But I do think now more than ever, I'm a listing agent. I mean, we have about, I don't know, 130 listings right now. And I have like 17 buyers, just myself, not including like my team members and, you know, in different areas, that are so excited. And like from a weekly standpoint, like the energy and the hope and the gratitude really resonates online. And I'm educating them before they even come out. So they're like, okay, we're down to 3. They haven't even come down. They haven't even come out. But so I do think that this is a really unbelievable tool. I wish there were 48 hours in a day. So when you figure that out, let me know.
Hey, if I do, I won't be with you guys.
Yeah, I know.
If I could figure that out.
You'll be like,
Hey,
bye.
Yeah, anyway, bye-bye. Hey, do you guys mind if I throw a question at you that is not on our list and one we didn't discuss? Would y'all go for that?
Yes.
Sure.
Good. I'd like to start with Jade. Can we see her on the screen again? I think she'll pop. I don't see her, but maybe you guys do. Jade, I listened to you this morning, and you said something that I wrote it down immediately. But you talked about this excellence in customer service, and it doesn't matter if it's 100 million, 10 million, or 1 million. Everybody's treated the same way. And I know how you work. You immediately call people back. You immediately return a text. You respond to everybody. How are you doing that in this climate? How are you keeping it that high in this climate?
Well, we talked about what was our normal day before and what is our normal day now. And my normal day before was up at 5:30, a spinning class at 6, back to the juice place, then returning phone calls and emails. I mean, it's like now we have to completely change our lives. And the question, I think, was, what is luxury? And what I was saying was, luxury is the same for a $700,000 condominium or $100 million house. It's giving your client your all, treating them like you want to be treated, doing their advertising, keeping them posted, returning their phone calls. The client is the most important person in your life. Most of them become your friends, and they want all of you. And you have to make every one of those people feel like they're the only ones you're working with. And I think for us, these are my friends here today, we are all that way. We do the best we can for our clients. And when somebody asks me, why do you think you've been successful? I mean, I think the best trait you can have in our business is integrity. Be honest. Don't sell them something that you don't believe in. Don't take them to something and hope they buy it. Really look out for their best interest. And so when you say, what is luxury? Luxury is the same for every one of your clients, and that's the best job you can do for them.
Wonderful. Georgina, how are you doing it? Are you on the phone a lot more?
Oh, absolutely. So I kind of threw my old schedule out the window and then put a new schedule together because I am homeschooling. But what I'm finding is that it's like understanding that we want to create the best experience for our client. And, I've been in the business for about 25 years plus. And, the clients, they turn into friends and they're family. And so it's like, I'll do anything for them. It's like trying to find them a dog sitter or a tutor for their child during these times, like whatever it takes, because it's not just about real estate, it's about the relationship. And I think that that's kind of also what Jade was saying. And, it's going that extra mile. And I think in these times, it's so important to have like a professional that knows the market, because they're going to guide you through the process. They're not going to try to sell you anything. They're going to help you make the best decision for you and your family and your goals, whatever they might be, whether it's short term or long term. So I think that it's adding that value to the client and the experience.
Good. Dawn.
I think, I agree with them. We're all doing what we can, but I do think like luxury has always been, the comfort and care you give your client, like, and the aha feeling you get when like you sit down and you smell something great, or you see something beautiful, or you walk over a threshold and you hear a song that makes you feel alive or remind you of a great part of time. And again, to say what they're saying, like it's all about the experience you create for them. And no matter what, I think that's the most important thing you can do. And so it's interesting. I'll share something with you. I did this. I'm like really into like smell, like scents and like music. That, I mean, I could turn on a tune and be in a terrible mood and then just turn it on and feel like good about it. And so I made a playlist for all my houses of things that make me feel good. And so now that's going to be a DMG playlist when we're doing showings. And then I did a private label candle, and it kind of smells like the perfume I wear, which is Tom Ford. And it's just one of those things that I sent it, and I send one to some of my best friends, but to a lot of my clients. And I just wrote a note, like a little light, like that was a nice thing. It's fun to get a package at the door now. It's fun to see the FedEx guy. He just knocked on my door and I like ran to the window, like waving. Like it's crazy how much like I'm a touchy person. And I think that that's all part of luxury and what we're supposed to do in order to make someone feel cared for. So I think now more than ever, I think that's the problem with my 48-day is like when you have a huge book of business, to make sure everybody feels that. Even the post-grads, I have a whole rental program, and I have 2 gals on my team that go to Rising Seniors. And it was interesting, they can't go because the schools are out. So they did this beautiful video montage of welcoming them and saying, this is our favorite place. This is where we live. Oh, by the way, you went to Notre Dame, just so you know, this is right by Butch McGuire's bar. Like, and they engage them through video. I just think that so much now more than ever is all about engagement because there's such a lack of it.
Let me tell you, that candle is amazing. The smell is crazy.
I take it you've got one, Jade. You must have one.
No, Jade and I go back a long way, and we share everything together. But I'll send you guys one too.
Yeah. We're all waiting on our candle.
Fine, I'm sending it.
Good.
Ricardo, I know you well, and I know you are like me, very tightly wrapped and very on it all the time. I know you want to maintain excellence in customer service. How are you keeping it up?
Well, it's what has been said by already is this understanding that is about the experience, right? That it has nothing to do with price point. That is the experience that you provide your client is what turn them into friends, is what turn them into repeated customers, is what give them the liberty to refer you, for years to come. And so that experience, I think, is the most important thing that we could offer. I think that the difference right now is that experience is starting to translate into this whole idea of trust. I think that for those of us that have been consistent as to how we offer our services, trust is, that experience equals trust. And so I think that our clients and our colleagues will continue to work with us because they understand that we are a trustworthy part of that person's transaction or of that person's moment in life. And so I do think that, to me, as I am trying to rethink where we go from here, how do we expand that experiential part of my business and the way that I interact with my clients? It's about continuing to articulate the fact that I'm a trusted source, that integrity, that the kindness that I offer to my clients, that the professionalism, that the results that I offer to my clients equal at the end of the day trust. And so I think that to me, that is kind of one of the biggest pieces right now that I am continuing to integrate in my head as to my new way of operating in the business.
Yeah.
I
listened to Mark Cuban yesterday, and he said all of our calendars have been reset. Yeah. And I think that is just all the way across the board. Now, Alasdair, you're obviously in another world of real estate because it's all over the globe for you. How are you handling all the different nuances of dealing with people all over the world with different styles?
So our clients in the UK come from all over the world. We are not seeing any British buyers looking to buy elsewhere just at this moment in time. But your question was about how do we look after our clients and what's at our heart. And I know that Ricardo and Jade have come and visited us and met some of our people, and I'm enormously proud that I think all of our 1,200 colleagues enormously proud that Hamptons has been around for 150 plus years, and they take great pride in ensuring our clients' best interests is well looked after, and that's always at our heart. Our buyers of today are our sellers of tomorrow, and vice versa. Yeah. And so, we have done everything. We've mowed lawns, we've emptied washing machines, we've walked dogs, we've mended broken windows when people have been away, etc., etc., etc. As Ricardo just said, actually, and I thought I took this as a really important point. Luxury for us is not just about price necessarily. For us, it's about quality and it's about saleability. And I think our authenticity and our integrity is and always will remain key to ensuring that our business is very healthy indeed. And when we put our clients at the center of the business, at the center of what we do, we find that we find great success through that.
Absolutely. And I suppose since you guys have listings around the world, because I've read your marketing book, it's probably over an inch thick of listings all over the world, and they're just absolutely wonderful. Are you connecting with them more now on video chats and things like what we're doing right now? You find yourself in that?
So the quick answer is yes, but of course everywhere is different, and some countries, when I listen to you guys talking in the United States, some states are different. The majority of second home markets for us are in Europe, and most of Europe is pretty severely locked down at the moment. So there are people trying to work from home. We're not selling Spanish homes to Spanish people. Not in a normal market, we are selling Spanish homes to British people, and those British people just simply are not interacting with us at the moment about buying. I think it was Dawn that said something that's nice to have, a want rather than a must-have. Here in the UK, we're still trying to cope with the must-haves, but the want, i.e. the holiday home in Tuscany or in the Costa del Sol, is just not on people's agenda at the moment. I truly believe that people will come back after a period perhaps where they've got their things together and there's been a lull in the market and the domestic markets have recovered. I think they'll re-identify what's valuable to them, and that may be time away from the rain in Great Britain, and it may be time away with the family somewhere else in the close world. For us, that's obviously Europe, but also perhaps the United States as well.
United States is always a good choice. Always a good choice.
Always a good choice.
Especially in
love
Boston,
Florida.
Chicago, Naples, and Beverly Hills and Newport Beach markets, right?
That is true. That is true.
Georgina, can we? I want to come back to you. Do you have any thoughts about what it's going to be like as soon as this is lifted? Do you have any thoughts about what it's going to look like for the market, maybe specifically to your market or just in general?
You know, I think that our market is really going to see a huge burst, and I'm already starting to see the momentum in that the people that I'm connecting with, they're starting to ask the questions. Like, they might not be buying like right now because of whatever reason, but they're ready to make a move because they've been in their home. So, you know, some people, I had a client that said, you know what, I think I want to get a boat. I want to be on the water. Another client said, you know what, I think I want to be in the desert, that's about a 2-hour car ride away from here. So I think that there is a demand, and I think that the definition of home has totally changed because it's so much more valuable, and it has this intrinsic value that you just can't put your finger on. And so it's creating that amazing experience in your home, whether that means an ideal office or 2 offices, a swimming pool, or redoing your backyard. So I think that people are thinking, and I really do think that we're going to have a lot of transactions going on because they've had time to reflect, and now they're ready to make that next step.
Yeah, I agree. Dawn, what do you see? You're on mute. I think you're muted. There you
Sorry,
go.
I have my son at home, and he's like making himself a protein shake. I'm like, yo, I'm running a business here, buddy. Anyway, sorry, I didn't want you to be bothered with that. But anyway, I'll speak to Naples and I'll come back here. Honestly, Naples, they opened the beaches yesterday, and Monday they're going to open the restaurants to 25 capacity, and they're slowly gaining momentum. I will tell you this. My team member told me that literally the private jets were coming in like every 3 minutes. It was like, rah, rah. So now all of a sudden, everybody wants to look for property. I think if you can afford it, remember, yes, this is an economic setback. I don't want to minimize what's going on in the stock market because it's not great, but we all agree, and big finance people agree that that's not there to stay necessarily. Once we open up, we're going to see an uptick. So those that can still afford that luxury of a second home, I think they're going to like literally drive to those places. So like Ricardo's by water, on by water, Georgina, Jade, I just think these second home markets are going to be huge because I think now more than ever, everybody wish they had a change of pace. I'm not saying necessarily it has to be a $5 million, $15 million home. It's just a nice change of scenery was really, really a wonderful, I guess, indulgence that if you can afford it, you would do it. I would say in Chicago, what's really crazy, most of my people that come out to the burbs or that come into Chicago are affected by schools. And now that school may or may not open in September, we can't take that out of our data. And what's happened now is, say you had a 3-year-old and you were thinking about leaving Lincoln Park in 2 years when the child's going to kindergarten. Now they know, like, okay, I want a bigger yard or I want more space or whatever. They're just hitting it now because there's no limitations on that. So I've seen that there's a lot of pent up demand to kind of do that. And then there's a lot of pent up demand for people that are between 50 and 60 to downsize to the city and just get a quick apartment and do the 6 months and a day in Naples. So I actually think it's going to work in our favor here. And that demand, as they said, I think will be realized in September. Like the last quarter of 2020, I think is going to be really good.
Oh, well, we're counting on it. Ricardo, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do think that, like Georgina said, we're in the business of home. And so, fortunately for us in this business, having a home, it's one of basic needs. And so we are going to see, an activation of buyers and sellers. I think that if anything, all this chaos that has been thrown up there at all of us is going to create a lot of movement. And so there are going to be a lot of people that are going to need to sell, that are going to need to buy. There's going to be all this momentum. And so I think that we need to be there again to make sure that we are helping people and providing the right advice so that we're not just moving property, but we are actually helping take care of all those people. Of course, respecting where they are at this point in their lives and being mindful that, as I said before, we have to make sure the community is in good place, because if the community is not in good health, then we have nowhere to go back to. And so we have to invest into it and treat our clients with that respect. But I think that the business will be there. I think that we are going to see good levels of activity. And I think in all price points, I'm seeing it right now in terms of prospecting. We have, listings in a pipeline in every single price point, from an entry level to the $20 million price point. Same thing with buyers. We have buyers in every single price point. Obviously, there are different motivations for people to move now or later, but everybody's active one way or another. So, for example, we are right now shooting every single, because we're allowed to visit. We cannot be in groups or do open houses, but we're allowed to visit properties. And so what we are doing right now is shooting every possible video and every possible photo that we can of every possible property that we might represent. Even if the contract is not done, I'm like, let's just shoot it. Because what we are doing is creating, this kind of like backlog of all of this content so that when we are ready to go, it's ready. And so we are building everything as if we were ready to launch tomorrow. Everything is being built for regardless of price point, because you just want to be, in that ready mode to hit, to push the gas when we're able to come out.
Right. You told me a few weeks ago on a call that you approached Instagram as promotion, but no longer. You now look at it as a lead generation tool. Can you share some of that?
I'm telling you, it was truly a revelation for me, because we keep talking about social media as a sales tool, and so yeah, I know that I've been using it historically as a sales tool. Oh, here's what I sold. Look at this. Look at that. Call me. That kind of stuff, right? And I realized that I get the best return on investment when the angle is an angle of prospecting, when the messaging is not specific to, let's say, a buyer that we're trying to bring to buy this property, but it's a message about, like Don was saying, a message about that, the lifestyle related to that home. There is a message related to our value proposition as your trusted real estate person, where it is when it is an output, right, a visual output on, let's say, on Instagram, that demonstrates to a developer that we know what we are doing. And so we are seeing all these responses. And I think what has been particularly curious to me is that activation has come exclusively on the luxury market segment. So every that we've gotten from Instagram in particular and from Facebook has been to luxury market segment type of transactions, both buyers and buyers and sellers. And so I think that it speaks to the need for all of us. And I'm speaking, I know this panel does this, but if there are some people out there that listening that are not invested yet on elevating your brand, putting the resources into elevating your brand, it doesn't matter how much or how little, but put resources into it, because you will see a return on investment from that kind of output. And that's what we need to be smarter, more effective, and think of business concept. We have to put resources,
Yeah, well, you're doing it very well. Jade, thoughts from you about what will it look like when this is over? I know you're killing it on Instagram. You seem to have something of these. I love that 30 seconds with Jade thing. I don't know where you came up with that, but that's fantastic. What do you see when the brake pedal's off? And what are you?
30 seconds with Jade. is my son. My son Austin's mom. This is what you need to do. It's short and sweet, and you're over with it. But I think two things that I've seen because of this that have happened. Number one, I think a lot of people that I've spoken with are going to take their money or some of their money out of the stock market and buy real estate, brick and mortar. They're going to buy something that they feel is safer than the stock market. Now, whether that's true or not, depends on the person. I bought my first house for $22,000 a long time ago. And it sold for $1.9 million last year. So if I had kept every single house that I had purchased, I wouldn't be working anymore. But that didn't happen. I had to sell that one to go to the next one, to go to the next one. But what I'm seeing is I think that a lot of people will be buying homes instead of putting all of their money in the stock market. Yeah. The other thing I'm seeing is I feel like being home, you either love your home or you're thinking, oh my gosh, I want out of here and into something else. So I'm feeling like for the people who have said, oh, I would have bought that house, but I just didn't want to go up another 50,000 or 100,000. We can now say, after being in our homes for 8 weeks, we can now say, if you love this home and it's $50,000 or $100,000 more, and you're maybe not getting the deal that you think is the deal of a lifetime, but you are going to be here for many years, step up, pay the money, and live for as long as you live in that house and love it. Because that is the most important thing. Right now, we are in our homes. It used to be you got up in the morning, you went to the gym, you came home at night, you had dinner, and you went to bed. I'll never do that again. Never. Because I love being at home and I love experiencing being in my house more and with my family more. And that's going to happen a lot more. But I think that the people who wouldn't step up before are going to do it now because they appreciate being in their homes and loving where they are at not whenever they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Alasdair, what about you? What do you see in your world when the brake pedal's off? What's going to happen?
Well, we're hoping and rather expecting to be quite busy. However, do you know what? I think there's going to be a lull whilst people get back on their feet once the restrictions are lifted. And I think that job security is going to play a pivotal role as well in any recovery. However, there was such a determined recovery in the UK housing market at the start of this year. So we were really looking forward to a very busy year following 3 years, as I say, of low transactions. But the cork was definitely out of the bottle, and I don't think it's been put back in. And whilst, we weren't seeing significant increases in values, we were seeing significant increases in demand, and I think that still remains there. And it doesn't matter which country you're in, as you've just said. Many households have also spent more time at home and in the last few weeks, and some I think are going to feel the urge to move and find more space or consider the potential perhaps for remote working as well. So I'm guessing that could boost, activity in the second half of 2020, but it's going to depend upon how much the economy is impacted over the rest of the year, and I think also for us on levels of unemployment as well. Yeah. And much will, of course, depend on government directive and the rules evoked over social interaction and distancing. So I'm expecting our high street shops, or office network, if you like, is going to see a lot less footfall. But having said that, I suspect strongly that our agents are going to be really busy out in the field with both valuations and viewings as well.
Good. All right, we're down to our last few minutes, so I want each of you to ponder this and share with our listeners. What are you doing? Let's start with you, Alasdair. What are you doing to keep yourself together during this period? How are you keeping yourself up and with it and getting up every day? What are you doing?
you know, I've always got up really quite early, but that's mainly because I don't live in central London. I live outside of London, and I commute right into the heart of London, into Mayfair. And that requires me to drive to a train station and then sit on the train for an hour and a quarter. So that early start has always been deeply ingrained in me. I'm still doing that. I'm obviously not going into London, but I'm still getting up really quite early, sort of 5:30 in the morning. And I'm using that time that I would be commuting to walking around the most beautiful wood that is behind our home here in the countryside in Wiltshire.
Sounds good.
And springtime in England is just, I think, the prettiest time of the year. So the wood is full of bluebells at the moment, and that's something I'd really like to continue to do, because it sort of sets me up really well for the day, puts my mind in shape, and so I'm going to try and find a way to continue to do that post-lockdown.
Good. Love it. Jade, what are you doing to keep it together?
Well, I'm a pretty positive person anyway, but I am so busy that I think I haven't even had a chance to really dwell on what's going on. I mean, we are just so busy, and I'm trying to keep in touch with my clients, and all of us have had many calls together. This panel have had many calls together, and I feel like I'm so blessed. I have my children and grandchildren who are calling me, and they come over and play in my driveway or play wherever we can be social distancing. And I just feel like I'm between trying to keep all of my clients happy and informed and looking into the future. I too am doing a lot of 3D videos now. We've gone into every single listing, and we're doing the 3D videos on every single one. So we've been very, very busy, and we're ramping up for when this is over and when we can start showing property again.
Love it. We got 1 minute left. Dawn, what are you doing to keep it together?
I agree with Jade. I mean, I feel like all I do is talk all day. By like 7 o'clock, I feel like I have a sandpaper tongue. But I have to say, like, I'm trying to make the most of this, and I love to cook. So I've been cooking a lot, like in between. I'm eating you might not recognize me when we come out of this, because like, I mean, I go all day and I like have a cup of coffee, and then I don't like really like go ham on food until dinner. But like, I feel like, okay, I'm getting off. This is my reward. I'm going to make a smoothie, and it's not a protein smoothie. It's like got mangoes and sugar, and it's so delicious. So, but I'm excited. I have 2 kids that have quarantined with me and my husband, and I have 2 more coming home. So my senior in college is coming home today. It's been fun to like FaceTime them, and it's just been fun to like watch movies together and stuff that you normally wouldn't do. I mean, it's the spring market. This is a very busy time for all of us. So this has allowed us to a little bit take a breath and say, okay, you know what, I can do that at 9 o'clock. Because from a physical standpoint, this job is demanding. You're in and out of your car all day. You're running up the stairs, walking up the stairs. People always ask me, like, what was my secret? I don't need to work out, because like I burn energy by like what I say all day. But we all know we're doing that, and we're not doing that now. So I think I told you I've turned into a walker, which I used to make fun of people for walking, and now if you see me, you like walk. But I'm making anybody on the street go into the backyards of these houses. So just look out, people, if you see me, because you're gonna go see a house if you like it or not. So that's what I'm doing.
We are at time, but let's keep going. Ricardo, what are you doing to keep it together?
It's been, like everybody said, it's been extremely busy. I think it's because we are so efficient now. We don't have the travel time we used to have. We don't have to go to somebody's office. We can just jump in from one appointment to the other one. And so what I've seen is this depth of busyness. But I think what I am doing, for me, I'm seeing this as a challenge, but a creative challenge, at least for me and for my business. And it is, I've been given an opportunity to reevaluate what I've been doing and to rethink what I've been doing. And so to me, it's very exciting to just even think about what my business will look like, what our business all collectively would look like. I think it's going to be really interesting and exciting. I think, the challenge is that we thought we knew what we were doing, and suddenly we realized that, yeah, we do, but we don't, right? And like, what are we going to do? And so to me, this is the silver lining, the blessing is that is that opportunity to be creative, to be daring, to just go for it. Because what are we going to do? We just have to go for it. And so to me, that's how I keep myself, getting up at 5:30 in the morning and going to bed at midnight, is because I can't stop thinking about it. But I love it. I thrive on it. And so it's been good that way.
Well said. Georgina.
Well, and I think that this has been a really amazing time to just kind of take stock and figure out really what's important to you in your life and what you want to accomplish. And I think that it's been a really great pause to do that. But it does come with challenges because the schedule's so different. So what I like to do is every morning I do a gratitude list and things that I'd like to happen during the day. So it's like 5 things you're thankful for, and then 5 things you want to accomplish. And it can be anything. And then and then what I do is I jump on my Peloton bike because I can't go to a spin class. And they also give like pep talks. They're like, you know what, inhale all of, positivity and exhale any negativity. And they all are different personalities. It's kind of fun. I feel like they're my friends, my virtual friends too. And I'm really enjoying this time with my daughter. She's 10. And so we're taking bike rides, we're hanging out, we're cooking. We're going to do some tie-dye t-shirts this weekend. I haven't done one since 1970 or 1980. And so, it's just kind of fun to reconnect with not only my daughter, but also my friends and my family. So
wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I've been seeing all the videos of you and your daughter, and you have a dog as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you've made some great videos with it. Well, I want to thank all the panelists today. We are just a few minutes over time. Alasdair, thank you. Ricardo, thank you. Dawn, Jade, and Georgina. This whole idea, this was your idea. This panel was your idea. So we are just grateful to be with you, and thank you for having me lead the charge today. So to the listeners, thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, like to submit, just submit them. So
thank you.
Adios, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.